So I've been reading through the Gospel of John, and last week we were reading through John 12, and I just kept thinking about the very opening part of John 12 where you see they're holding this dinner for Lazarus, and Martha serves, just simply says Martha served, Lazarus reclined with Jesus at the table, and Mary had this extravagant gift that she wanted to give Jesus with this ointment, this nard that she broke and anointed him with it. And so when I was thinking about that and seeing the whole picture of this chapter being two glories that are represented there, the glory of God and the glory of man. And in that same scene at the beginning, when we have Martha and Mary and Lazarus, we also have Judas. But with Judas, it's a little different story. He has been stealing from the money bag. He has been giving into his flesh. He has been sinning in those ways, and he continues to do that. And that to me was a picture of craving the glory that comes from man. And then we see Martha serving, Mary giving extravagantly, and Lazarus just being a witness to Christ's power, they were glorifying God. They had their minds set on the glory that comes from God. So there's these two pictures, and then we see that throughout the rest of the chapter. Go read it and you'll see it. How even Jesus is seeking glory not from man, but from God, even coming into town on a donkey. I mean, they were looking for a military leader, right? He would usually ride in on a horse, but he comes in on a donkey. Say, now is my hour of glorification. And he talks about the grain of wheat dying and producing much fruit, and that if you want to follow Jesus, if you want to follow him, then you must die. And so I was thinking about that and thinking about the glory that comes from man and the glory that comes from God, and how often we struggle with that. I myself just struggle with this. Am I doing this for the glory of man or for the glory that comes from God? And so I love the phrase coram Deo. It's one that I have been meditating on the past few months. Coram Deo is just a Latin phrase that means before the face of God. And that basically it has that idea that we live all of life to the glory of God, before the face of God. We even see Jesus display this when his heart is troubled, and he says, what do I say, Father, save me from this hour? And then he says, no, it was for the purpose that I came to this hour. And then he says, Father, glorify your name. And so I think about that as a mom, or whatever your purpose is, just like Martha's purpose was to serve. Mary's purpose in that moment was to just give this gift extravagantly. Lazarus's purpose was to just be a witness. Whatever your purpose is, that would be done to glorify his name. That coram Deo, that before the face of God, that we would live all of life before the face of God. And when I was studying this, I was reading in one of the commentaries, and George Mueller, I don't know if you're familiar with George Mueller. You need to read his biography if you haven't. It's so good. So someone asked George Mueller, what is the secret to your life? And basically he said, and I'm paraphrasing, but I will put the quote at the end of this video, but basically he said, at one point I died. George Mueller died to his preferences, to his desires, to his wants. He died to the approval of man. He died to the disapproval of man. And he only lived for the approval of God. And to me, that is seeking the glory of God over the glory of man. That is living life coram Deo, before the face of God. And that is my desire, to live that way, to serve just like Martha served, to simply serve, to be a witness like Lazarus was, or to give extravagantly like Mary did, whatever God has. So I don't know what your purpose is right now. Maybe it's simply to wash the dishes, to do the next thing, and to do it to the glory of God, before the face of God. That we would live out our purposes as moms, as teachers, as friends, as church members. That we would live out whatever we do, even the most mundane things, would be for the glory of God, before the face of God.